Hi, friends. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Cassandra Vogley. Today I have on guest Dylan, the human design maven. He has been in his experiment for 14 years, and we just had a chat about all kinds of things, consciousness, human design, 2027, the rave, post era. He's a 4-6 manifesting generator on the cross of the sleeping phoenix. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy our conversation. A few updates that I'm super excited about. I have my next Human Design monthly live class coming up inside of my membership, which is on Thursday, December 11th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, if you want to sign up for that, you can just go to my website, link below in the description. I hope to see you there. It's also a place where you can bring your questions. We have an open Q&A at the end. Almost to 100 subscribers, which is so exciting. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. If you want to help support the channel, you can like, subscribe, share, comment. Everything helps grow the channel, boost it, and I really appreciate it. All right. Thanks, guys. Hope you enjoy the episode. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here with me today.
I am I'm excited. I'm here for fun. I'm here
Yes.
for like true just the conversation of it.
Yes. I like the way that you like digest the information and give it back. It's very unique. You've been in design for like a long time, right?
14 years,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's what I was gonna say, two cellular cycles, right? So yeah. And I kind of feel like what I notice, like the longer you have a system, but then you start to mutate beyond it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Um, I didn't want to, but it mutated anyway.
Yeah.
So I just kind of had to go with it.
What is all of your circuitry? Like what are like your channels, your life force channels? And I know there's two. Do you want to talk about that? That you,
Not yet.
okay. Let's just let's just talk about do you want to just talk about your original or
Yeah.
okay,
I'm a 4-6 MG sacral. I've got rhythm, awakening, exploration, and charisma.
cool. I have awakening too.
That's one of the best ones.
What's funny is I have charisma and rhythm right now, which I don't usually.
Mm,
So we've got a lot of companionship going on today.
perfect.
Yeah.
Very Gemini full moon then. We're twinning.
Yeah. So yeah. Cool. You said 4-6, right? Yeah.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Sleeping Phoenix, Sun in the undefined solar plex with my North Node in the 49. So we're really, you know, high touch with the timeline of
Mhm.
the Phoenix and the solar plex transformation. It's just like I'm reporting live from that, I feel like a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Maybe a little bit from the future.
Mhm. Well, I mean, it is. It's oriented that way.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And other meaningful things about my chart, just so many planets in undefined root, like 13, 14 undefined root planets, which is just my greatest lesson.
Hmm. That's me too. It's like tons of that's my most uh my open route with like I think it's like 12 or 13, maybe 11. I can't remember. I have to count them again in my head. But yeah, are they spread out or are they like multiples in the same gate?
A lot of, yeah, multiples in the same gate.
Yeah.
All mostly pointing at the spleen.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I think generationally,
Yes.
because of like Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, we're
Yeah,
all in like Capricorn,
right.
58, 38.
And then
Is
I have
30?
my moon and Venus and Mars there too.
I have what's your moon on
54, 6.
54-6? Okay. Mine's 58 3.
which is like my Neptune.
Cool.
So we're both
Yeah.
Capricorn moons too?
Yeah. Uh-huh. What's
Wow,
your
I
sun sign?
love my cat moons. Pisces.
Oh, okay. Leo. Yep.
South Node.
Yep. Yeah, I love yeah, my cat moon people. I love like it's like an unconventional moon, but I really enjoy it. It's isn't it in fall or whatever,
Yeah,
but it's I don't know. It's a good that's a good balance I feel for a Pisces too. It's a good like counterpoint.
yeah. I'm like a fake Pisces, I feel like. I'm
Yeah. Same with
I'm
being a
more
Leo. Like I'm a Leo, but I like have that like earth, you know?
cat
Hmm.
moons
I can
humor.
feel the Pisces in you though. You have that like spiritual softness, that like openness, you know?
Mm, yeah,
But I definitely can see the Capricorn too. What's your rising?
Cancer.
Cancer. I'm a Libra
20
rising.
degrees Cancer. Ooh, Libra rising. I can see that.
Yeah. Hmm. That makes sense for you too. That goes well with the Neptune. Originally, so let's see, in old astrology before Neptune, what was the ruler of Pisces?
Jupiter.
Jupiter. Yeah. Always like forget that one. But I'm like, it's got a different, it has those both of those kind of energies too. And I feel like it gets like kind of forgotten on the Jupiter side.
Yeah, it is interesting.
So makes sense.
I feel like the Jupiter for Pisces is almost like more retrograde in how it expresses. It's like maybe not
Inverted.
everyone else sees it, but little, there's like this thread of luck and protection
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
makes all of this possible, quite
Yeah.
honestly.
I mean, it's also, I think, connected to that, like the spirituality too of it.
Right. I like the idealism and the optimism
Yeah.
that more is possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what do you want to talk about? Anything with this like this full moon or so it's we have a Gemini full moon and it was it peaking yesterday or today?
Today at around 3:15 p.m. PST, so in
Okay.
about two
Yeah, I saw it
hours.
really bright last night, but wasn't sure when it was like full.
The OG HT people would be like, transits? Why are you talking about transits? Because you shouldn't be affected by them because you're just so insulated in your alignment, right?
Well, no, because we're all in it. We're meant to be conditioned by it. It's just
Yeah.
about still being yourself in the conditioning in terms of how you move and your decisions. But there's no
Hmm.
escaping the energy, I don't think. At least that's my interpretation of it.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Where did you kind of like who did you feel drawn to, like learning from or like was it mostly like raw? Was it like different teachers or was there any like mentors or people that you or what was
It
your
was
experience?
definitely just raw.
Yeah,
Um,
mostly me too.
and in that sense, kind of more like I felt like I connected to the voice more.
Yeah.
Sorry, raw, but thank you. And
Yeah, you could yeah, he's a filter of it, right?
yeah, and um, I had this crazy experience in the beginning where I was like in Kauai when Ra died,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know anything yet. And then 2 days later is like when I was initiated into human design.
Cool.
And it felt like, and there was a mystical experience in there where I sat down on this river, just hiking, being whatever, uh, eat, pray, love. And I like left my body, didn't know what a crystal of consciousness was at the time, didn't know maybe the mechanics of what was occurring in that moment, but sat down on a river after a long hike, was like, whoa, phew, like shot up, and then came back down. And I feel like that was in like the trickle down effect. That was when I actually was initiated in human design.
Hmm. Had
Something
you
with crystal bundles. Yeah.
had you met the system before that or after that?
Right after.
Right
Like
after.
it kind of downstepped into my reality after that
Yeah.
moment. And it was literally completely like a guy popped out from behind a tree on a beach, handed me this mangosteen, and was like, I think you need to meet this guy that does human design. Come with me in my van. And I was like, today's adventure. And that's when it all began. And when I saw the chart, I was like, wait a second. I get this. Like
Hmm.
that, like in my G center, it made sense on site. And I was
Hmm.
like, that's me. That's me. I don't know how to express this, but that's me. And then it was a projector, um, who talked a lot about his journey with PHS in our interaction and his healing his like near death from from going to his mono diet from his appetite,
Hmm.
other one. And it just took me on like on a cellular level,
Yeah.
and I couldn't like look away. I had to then reverse engineer everything to my own understanding of myself because it finally was like, oh, this is why I'm like this. This is
Hmm.
why so many things haven't worked. This is why so many things will not work for many years because I was like 20 at the time in the middle of my third line phase.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, at least I have this cool toy to play with in the meantime. Like, have a positive focus amongst the trial and error, amidst the trial and error. And just having that weird witness perspective as a 20-year-old, like watching my life unfold, watching the third line of it, being in it, fully living it, but also kind of knowing like I'm watching this movie.
Mhm.
And
Yeah. What a different perspective for such a young age. For most people entering design, that is, you know?
right, and just how badly I wanted everyone to get it. And like, you need to ask me
Fourth
to
line in you.
respond.
You're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
And then also watching how the material realm was like the biggest interference, it felt like. Like it felt like it has always tried to bend the rules, in terms of like integrity within my design and my trajectory. It feels like it's the only thing that has been truly like disruptive
Like
of the
say
movie.
like the physical, like the needs of the body, the physical, the material
The
plane in terms of
material
like
bargain,
bargain. Yeah.
because my sleeping phoenix is like, fuck this shit. I was never down with any of this.
Well, you're yeah, a six line phoenix.
Yeah.
You're just like waiting and you've been waiting.
And yeah, it's just been an interesting journey of melding, I guess, one world with another, or one era, or one just like timeline with another value
Hmm.
system, and kind of the frustration of honestly people being so entrenched in this bargain-based value as opposed to like an alignment-based value. And that's really what this full moon is bringing up for me today. It's like,
Say more about like the difference to you between the bargain based or the alignment?
So, like in the cost of planning, it's like there's these sanctioned parameters for value that
Mm-hmm.
are conditioned by the collective ego, which is,
The tribe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and also kind of like the collective heart center in its 40th gate, like
40, 37.
operational standards or whatever. And it doesn't care about alignment. It cares about keeping the bargain going. And it's a real friction to attempt to ride that edge with working and generating a living with human design because you're almost, by the time that somebody's even approaching you to maybe work in that way, you're already doing the work. You're already like deconstructing their conditioning around what value is in relationship to their alignment of their beingness, of their like totality, and having to like rectify and debug like our own view of ourselves as commodities, our view of our time as commodity, energy, and like give it up to honestly a higher standard. And that is like a real difficult struggle for a lot of people because of how deeply entrenched in the survival um, kind of group think. Like if you give this up, you're going to be alone. You're going to die. You're going to die alone in the wilderness if you make this leap to a higher value system of alignment over bargain, over just existing like, basic bargain. And I never thought that that's what I would be navigating the most with people, but it seems like that is like because of this precipice we're at with going into 2026
Mm-hmm.
and the bargain being close to breaking,
Mm-hmm.
it's like really hot right now to
Mm-hmm.
be interfacing with this transformative mutation of, I guess, yeah, how we commodify ourselves as living entities. And
Yeah.
like what is truly worth it for us? Is it us or is it what's given by the tribe?
Mm-hmm.
Can we find a balance there?
And there's a lot of like hidden expectation in the bargains too.
Yeah, it's like a mouthful of cavities. It's like laden with codependency and microaggression and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of a lot of open solar plexus not self stuff like we're not confronting truth, we're not going to have the conversation, we're not going to like go there, we're just going to keep kind of feeding our own, I don't know what the word is maybe, but feeding into our own like keeping the status quo of toxicity rather than wanting to come to the surface and really reorganize things from a higher perspective, from higher principles, Gate of Awakening.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that process is going to probably be a really long one because we all were imprinted with the cross of planning and it will still be here until we're all dead, even though there will be more and more people bridging that to the new world, you know.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see like the timing of it, right? Because like we don't ever know like timing. We can like feel things coming and we know that they're coming and we know that it's arriving, but it's like when will it actually be here? I mean, I guess time's all relative. It's like, relative. But like collectively, when will that It's in layers, and it depends on which one you're tapping into.
I think there are clues, and I think Pluto cycles tell some of that story. And just even how long it takes Pluto to navigate a specific sign seems to
Mm-hmm.
be delineating these chapters of essentially breakdown to breakthrough kind of energy. And also like Pluto accelerating things that we never even saw coming
True.
because it just wasn't our job to see those things. We're just little boop boop boops down
Yep.
here. And sometimes we reach into those,
Yep.
exalted states of vision, but that's
Yep.
another that's another thing that I also see a lot in people lately is um like this fear of the raves now I see coming up, like this fear of AI, this fear of the raves, this fear of the next iteration, and then that gives rise to this feeling like we can do something about
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, if you haven't noticed, many of us can't even get Zoom to work. We're not gonna like it's a different pay grade.
Yeah.
And so we've got Pluto in Aquarius until 2040-ish. So to me, that's going to be a big, clear, stepping into a clearly different epoch.
Yeah. I mean, even I think Ross said the completion of a Plutonian cycle was 2027. Like there was a marker that he had traced back that was like this era of getting to the truth, he said.
Hmm.
So like there's a huge push and there will be leading, especially like this like final chapter of this part of the story, like this push to get to the truth. Like what are he said facts, like what are the facts of this reality, of this Maya that we can, I guess, rely on in a sense, which is kind of like that whole listening to your own direction and your authority, like that's kind of like what he was saying was the root or the foundation of the truth, which is like you know how to operate as yourself. That was what will help you in the next right era, obviously. Um, and then it's funny because the rabbit hole only goes deeper. Like doesn't ever end because that's the nature of everything. There isn't
Yeah,
like oh, that's everything. It's like here's the end, the completion, getting to the truth of this first level almost or whatever, this current level of reality that these forms can tap because obviously it's
yeah,
yeah,
that part.
limited here.
And that makes me think of how, in essence, leading up to 2027, we're finishing the mental process. So we're
Yep.
on our way to that. And I remember Ross said it was like, we've got like the final 4% of like what cognition in these forms can do is what we're like getting to. And I think that AI is here to accelerate that, in ways that we couldn't before, to take care of the non-essential, and also to give us a medium that can make these more high-level pattern recognition type of breakthroughs possible that leftness could not. That the pure focus of the seven-centered way, as pioneering as it was, it's up to like making I don't know, it's just like
It's combining
fully,
the web with the strategic,
yeah.
the right, the left. I mean,
And
it's
it's
never gonna,
like,
yeah. It's not gonna have like the capabilities of, say, like the solar plexus, obviously. But in terms of like, it's almost like when you're describing it, I'm like, oh, it's like it's the reflection of the completion of our ajna in a way. It's like because it's everybody's ajnas like combined,
Yeah.
it's built off of humans.
And
Our
then,
thinking.
and it's almost like that's the foundation that the solar plexus starts its process on, is like
Data.
the full connection of the web of all ajna stuff. And from
Mhm.
there it can mix and match and remix and rearrange.
Yep.
And in terms of what the raves are bringing in, rearrange reality itself, rearrange the Maya in the image of however we see through the solar plexus. It's like you looked at God through the ajna and you saw a certain figure or form or even structure.
Hmm.
And we're looking at the same God, but through the solar plexus, and it's like, oh, like the image is completely different that we thought we were made in. Now we're actually seeing it more in higher fidelity. And so then the Maya will be rearranged to reflect that higher definition, I
Hmm.
guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So it's like the raves will be thinking, quote unquote, thinking in that big of a context.
Yeah. We already see glimpses of that with those who are mutating. Like, have you listened to the telepathy tapes at all?
Hmm.
So we see like glimpses of it in these forms, but it'll be
I met them.
yeah.
I swear the raves like made me.
Oh, yeah. Say more about that. I want to hear more about that.
Well, in a way, I see raves as versions of us that have access to just a higher bandwidth or threshold of what consciousness is or what awareness is.
Hmm.
And in a sense, that kind of warps our idea of linear time.
Hmm.
And in the sense that I feel like raves are kind of orchestrating their own landing and integration into this system already, maybe through certain parents meeting, maybe through initiatives and teams and pentas that are like being incepted essentially.
Hmm.
And like to create the very delicate infrastructure that will be needed for their developmental phase, because it's like they get here and it's not fun and it's not easy and they're very different and they're not really equipped for this dimension because they've sacrificed a lot of that stuff in order to hold this other higher coding, or there's just this next level of what our code is. And so that transition is like precarious. The first raves being born and surviving to like their version of adulthood, and then over and above that, coming together and being able to actually unify and activate their full cognition. That's a lot of steps. And I almost feel like perhaps in a weird quantum way that they're ensuring that that landing pad is coming together to protect that critical kind of vulnerable period of their first arrival.
Well,
It's
and
my pattern recognition.
it's interesting too because like with um non-speaking autistic kids like and their ability to telepathically communicate across time and space and meet on the hill and like talk to one another as well as just like download information from like the ethers, right? Like they literally can go to certain places and like sit on books and like download the entire book and know it page for page and like can, pick out this page has this exact, writing on it. And so like that existing now, it's like expanded my view of like a rave needing to be in the same like auric space because Ra was saying they had to be like three aurically together, but I wonder actually if that together is not what we think of as to, because it feels like
Right.
it probably exists across time and space in a way that we can't understand fully, but are beginning to. And I think that almost like those, it always feels like there's a bridge, even if we weren't aware of them. Like, and we're like Rod talking about like historically with like Cro-Magnon man and all that. But it's like we weren't there actually. Well, our crystal was, but like we weren't there, this form, this brain. And so it's interesting because I'm like, I wonder, I feel kind of like they're the bridge between the two, even though Ra had kind of alluded to there not being one, like that we'd have no connection to them, but I don't really feel that to be true. I think that they'll be so different than us, obviously. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see like how that actually plays out or like what like will people know? I mean, according to Ra, it's like they're gonna have different skin. We're gonna like we're gonna know they're different when they're born because they're not gonna have a wave. So it's just gonna feel almost like he would describe it as like scary, but I like wonder really what that will be like. I'm just curious to see, you know, because he had, like you said, like you feel more connected almost to the voice. Like whenever, I don't know if this is true for you, but like when I listen to Raw, like I of course really like deeply appreciate the transmission, but at the same time, I like still hear the human because there's always the human Raw, and the in between. There's the form, so then I always kind of like filter things too. Like I'll be like, that feels more like his perspective based on X, Y, and Z, because we weren't raised in the same time period. So it's easier to hear the conditioning of that he carries from his time, just as it is like it's just because it's different conditioning. So, but anyway, so I'm just curious, like what that will actually, we don't know.
I feel, well, it's interesting that he called it a neutrino ocean, right? And that we know that water is a conductor, it carries sound waves, it carries a lot of information
Mm-hmm.
in the body and in our cells and the oceans and all of that, sonar, whales, all of it. And I'm like, okay, do the raves have kind of a more finely tuned perception of the neutrino ocean and stream as a medium for information transfer?
Mm-hmm.
Because he said that they won't be so much about linear processes, which is how we think of information in general.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Ajna coded
Mm-hmm.
information. It's organized in a certain way and labeled. And yet they're going to be operating much more in a state of electromagnetic sense,
Mm-hmm.
So like touch, cognition, and what's the last
Feeling.
one? Feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Those are, as he described too in some of the lectures, that those are not like the way that we would perceive them in our five senses. They're actually auric
Mm-hmm.
in nature, being that they're part of the solar plexus binary. And so I just feel like they're like whales can freaking hear each other across the planet or something to that of that nature, some, figure. And they're going to be the same thing. It's like, and the signal will be so distinct, especially early on when there's only like what, like 100 raves. It's going to be like easy to hear your fellow raves.
Yeah, I think that they will know before we know they know.
Exactly. I was just going to say something to that effect. Yeah.
And I think that the closer you are to the mutation point, like in terms of birth, like the closer you're born to that time period, it's like evolution is happening the whole time, right? The solar plexus is developing the whole time. Like even Ra would say when he was talking to like his peers, like our children will be on like things that we can understand because it will be their truth. It's not going to be anybody else's truth. And I already see that like where like older, like you say OG, right? It's like there's almost this like, oh, be careful, you can't go too slow, you have to wait this long to do PHS, you have to wait this long to, it's like people already, it's so much more integrated and just like available. It's not needed, it's not needed to be like, it's not so like, Ra would always read the not self, right? Which was very helpful when he was reading for people. I mean, he was also like a shock person, but I found that like people are ready too for their true self. Like they don't need necessarily to go as, I mean, you can do it, but it's like, do you know what I'm saying? There's much more access to identifying. He said if he would read the chart as it was, people wouldn't identify with it, any part of it. But like when you described looking at your chart, you're like, this clicked like right away, right? It's like I see myself, that makes sense. This it just clicks in, it like makes sense. It's not like, no, that's not me, right? It's just a different time, and then you have generations even younger than that. It's like they get it on a deeper level because they have a slightly different vehicle that's just more equipped for it. And anybody born like post 87 even like that he had talked about like their vehicle being ready for that download, ready for that information in a way that hadn't previously been seated on the planet because we're all in the neutrino ocean, whether we are aware of it or not. You know, like our form is always interacting with it, whether we're aware of it or not, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've noticed too. It feels reductive to teach from like the canceling out of the not self lately. It feels like are in the time of we need to emphasize that which is defined. And he talked about this as being like the future of therapy and medicine in general, not just for like personal development or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Um, and that's where these other charts that came and knocked on my door and were like, "Hey, look." And I was like, "Really? They're they're gonna think I'm crazy." But I've noticed that there are these octaves, and using those charts is not about deconditioning at all. It's
Mm-hmm.
about kind of tuning to a higher octave of, you could say, trajectory.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're kind of living a different trajectory. You're encountering different opportunities, timing, connections, because you're operating. It's like just putting in a different video game, like a different cartridge, and you're playing that game. And it's only in the positive adding aspect. It's not about debugging anymore. It's just
Mm-hmm.
going all in on that thing. And it's about being more it's like even more unwavering in strategy and authority, honestly. It's like
Mm-hmm.
having to be really present on a higher level. And probably a lot of people are not ready for that, but it's been really fun to play with that because and it may be even a symptom of what those charts look like for me because I'm a splenic projector in those. So it does feel more tactile and immediate and
Mm-hmm.
moment by moment watching things constellate.
Mm-hmm. Do you have your spleen defined in your,
No,
no?
not it's
Interesting.
completely open.
Interesting.
And
So
there's definitely
it obviously changes your definition, but I didn't know if it was just like subtracting some to give you, but it's adding some,
in
right?
a sense, yeah. I mean, it's just completely different. And
Yeah.
it's it's almost like okay, we're in this density down
Mm-hmm.
here,
Mm-hmm.
and the human design chart that tropical zodiac gives you is great for that. And then there are some of us, you know, that have other stuff in there, other coding, other DNA strand activation.
Mm-hmm.
To some, it's theoretical. To me, it's the life I live. And it's those other layers are available to people that have, through their serendipity, just been able to activate these other parts of our brain, you could even say, or parts of our nervous system, or deeper into the solar plexus, burgeoning awareness,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And it's just operating from less of a distortion. That's what I think. It's like down here, we have to take on the distortion. That's where we are. It's just the mixing of the 3D. And then as you go up, it's like it is filtering out less and less distortion and more like pure kind of crystalline energy. And tapping into that octave of you is what shifts the trajectory down here. It's like a radio station tuning to a different frequency of you, but it's complete. It's not looking for you to need to get anything else. You can just tune in and start to observe with that strategy and authority, with that profile. Or maybe it's a massive delusion of confirmation bias and it's all just a Neptunian
I mean, I've thought that about
dalliance.
the whole system.
Good.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, it's one of those things where like I like to hold things loosely anyways, like experiment with them because I'm a third line and see what my experience brings me and see what's funny is like even saying I hold things loosely and then it's like I can always refer it back to like where the points are, but there's so many points so you can always like see yourself in the illusion. That's what it is though. Like this whole plane is the Maya is the illusion anyways. So like yeah, I really like I feel like I kind of get why toward the end it became like so simplified to strategy and authority of like your signature because it's like are you experiencing that? Because at the end of the day, what else? That's like a true north, for me. It's like
Right.
there's so many details and they're fun for me because I like to I'm built to enjoy I just enjoy it, whatever. Like, I like enjoy those details, but I at the same time I'm not I like to break it's like learn the rules so you can break them type of thing. Like so
Totally.
there's an awareness, there's a foundation, but there's always more beyond that. So, yeah, I'm not like a purist in that. I don't know. I think that I've watched people, and maybe that's correct for them, or that's just like what's true is like get super rigid with the like parameters. And it's fun to like to me to know them, but I don't know. It's like the limitation, but if it starts to limit you in a way that brings you anger, frustration, like you can just go back to those simple things.
Yeah.
I watch
Because
people
the,
deeply frustrated and limited by it, but like almost holding it up as gospel. But I'm like, but your frequency is deep frustration. And
right,
so you're kind of missing it still.
right, because correctness can be such like this idea of correctness can be such a powerful re-energizer of the entire not self structure within somebody. Like,
Hmm.
and then they're just using correctness as an excuse for you could name so many scenarios, but they're just using this idea of correctness as an excuse to not decondition, like not transform, not change, not it's just they've created this like fortress of correctness. And it's like, mm, I mean, it's a clear frequency when people are doing that. It's just like they're protecting their ego with this idea of correctness or their conditioned ego. And yeah, I see that a lot too. And it becomes a jail. it becomes like this really well-meaning self-shackling that disqualifies us from so much of what life in the Maya can be, because we're still in the age of Pisces, and there's still this puritanical overlay that has was filtered a lot through the New Age, filtered a lot through people that have or are in, spiritual psychosis and are creating these like intensified internal structures to like vindicate the identity that they are seeing on some other plane, which can be very real and is. And I'm not like dissing any of that. But when you're not somatically connected to the process, correctness can become this like very imprisoning thing that's probably motivated by all the upper limits of your conditioning, not who you could be, what your potential is as your signature.
Hmm. And even in that, it can be its own eventual catalyst for the serendipity to go deeper into your what is your truth. So it's like, is there even a wrong way? Because like your own shackling can actually lead to your own liberation, if you get sick of it. And,
Quick
and
enough.
I've gone through that many layers at a time, and I kind of feel like that's the reality of this Maya in a way, anyways, is like because we're always like it feels like you're always going through like a cycle of like death and rebirth of like a different awareness. And so you see things when you see them, right? You're ready for it when you're ready for it, and you're not when you're not. And it's almost like it's all just data collection for the next cycle anyways. And so nothing's going wrong. You know? Hmm. And it's funny because we're at the end of the day, like we're all in a form. Like our connection to the rave is that I feel like well eventually we will be them. Like this crystal will. We won't, the physical me in this reality, but the crystal will go on. I was gonna say unless it's trapped in this in rogue, but then like who really knows like what happens to those rogue crystals eventually. Um, and just like a tree, it's like a tree has consciousness, but it's limited by its form of how it can communicate that to us. But that doesn't mean it doesn't experience conscious. I mean, it doesn't mean that you were in a tree and I was in a tree and we were in a blade of grass and like a drop of water. And so it's like it all kind of goes back, I think, to one source, everything, all of consciousness, all of everything, which is like so much in this little form. I remember thinking thoughts like that as a small child and being like, like, just mind blown. Because I remember thinking like, wait, does this reality, like when this form ends, like where was I before this? Because I know it was nowhere. I know it wasn't nowhere, I know I existed, but where was I? The forgetting and then the what happens after I leave? We also have the 43.5 in the transit, or is it the 23?
No, it's the 43.
Yeah, which is, yeah, I have that in my chart as well.
I bet that's my unconscious moon.
Cool. Yeah.
It's so crazy
Is
to
it
be.
oh, it's my unconscious earth.
Oh, nice.
Oh, sorry. No, my sun, my unconscious sun. I always like forget which way it goes.
Oh, wow. I've been regularly having these moments lately of like, it is so wild that we are here. Like that. This is insane. Like if people really understood what this is, what's going on here, I mean, it's just so strange.
Isn't it funny too? Because it's so mundane and and at the same time, so not mundane.
Yeah.
It's like the two worlds, literally, like straddling these two I mean, we are that being too. We're that like we are the being straddling the old and the new.
We're that juxtaposition.
Yep. Are you a right mind?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That checks out.
left brain, left body, right mind, right awareness. So again, another straddling the
Yeah.
boundary kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm right brain, right mind, left life. So same 50-50 split.
Nice.
Yeah, future mind, ancient body, ancient form. Mm-hmm. I feel that too. I do feel like I straddle those worlds of like, and it's weird how you can get pulled up into the ether and then you can be totally in the mundane. It is a
Yeah.
juxtaposition. It is both
The
and I
mundane
enjoy
feels
both.
more dreamlike. Yeah.
What?
I feel like the mundane feels more dreamlike
Oh,
and
interesting.
fleeting to me. Like the mundane feels like that dream that I kind of remember when I wake up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side is like where I live. That's how it feels. And I'm not saying one is, I like both. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I fully live both.
Mm-hmm. I would say I'm more in the mundane or like earth bound. Not eh, it just depends on who I'm talking to. There's more earthbound people than I, obviously. But like there is I'm very I have a lot of earth in my chart too. Just like for whatever, just I'm like an earthy person. Um but I also have that like 43-23 so I can like go up into the I straddle both for sure. Which is funny because that's my split is between the more kind of tribal earthly part of me and then my awakening in 43-23. It's like both are they're quite different from each other. One is like defense circuit of the tribe, 59-6, very like the physical.
Yeah.
And then the other one
Managing.
is like very much like the ethers. So yeah,
Nice.
I have that split. Yeah, I'm curious more about like the other like blueprint. And it's funny how you can resonate with different things. And it was interesting. I remember like a while ago, I heard you say that you were a projector in the other way you were kind of reading design. That and what's funny to me is I've always kind of like felt like a projector. Like when I definitely feel very much like a generator in some parts, but I am split, right? So it's like I'm literally
Right.
split between the part of me that's a generator and the part of me that's like all projected, you know? And so I remember certain things for projectors. I'm like, are you sure I'm not a projector? Because I like kind of like resonate with that. Um, there's certain things that definitely feel more generator though for me, obviously. Like when I love something and I'm doing it, I definitely have that like staying power. And I'm definitely like tribal in my circuitry too, like in terms of specifically with like family and children. Not as much like the bargain stuff with like the material plane because I don't have the ego circuit, but actually I have it right now. I have the transmitter right now, but like I don't consistently have it, obviously. So yeah, I'm more tribal in like the family, children, babies realm generator, but yeah, it's interesting.
59-6 is wild to me because like every channel is obviously a byproduct of the two gates that create it and the two centers that create it. And so, like, the electromagnetic between the solar plexus and the sacral, and that's what's defining them both. I don't know, it's just mind blowing to me. It's like that's a portal. Like that's
A literal portal into this world.
yeah, it's just yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. Woo, it's crazy. All the other connections feel more obvious and like to understand the way that their dynamic flows. And with 59.6, I feel like it's just so multifaceted, literally.
Hmm.
Like it's like a thousand petal lotus, million petal lotus kind of vibe. There's just because it has to like encompass so much of life generatively, and I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but that one is,
It will be interesting to see that as part of our background frequency, the half of it, anyways, which will be
and the whole,
huge because it's going to plug up everybody who has a six and it's going to plug, I mean, the transits and all of that. And just that energy of I have the 59.6 in my moon unconscious. Yeah.
and the fact that the whole octave circuit that the raves are creating or are coming online with
Mm-hmm.
is changing the fundamental
May we bond.
nature of that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean,
the whole,
you like already see it. You can already see it,
and how the raves won't be naturally procreative.
right? Which is so interesting because we are going to be the ones birthing raves, not them, which is kind of like that's wild to me.
And it's also gonna like with the 37 going away, I think it's gonna change so much about how the touchy feeliness of everything is
Yeah.
gonna be reconsidered. You know, birth being this lovey, touchy thing of just warmth and togetherness, and now maybe it's just like, whoa, we're being used as vessels.
Well,
Hi,
and I mean, they just started figuring out how to have like I think how to grow a human outside the womb in an artificial womb, which also aligns with the Aquarian age of technology and like where we're going with all of that. And I mean, we'll see because it's interesting. Like it will be interesting to see what is accomplished in technology in the next year or like up till 2027 in February. And it will be interesting to see what happens post that era. Like, will there no longer be a grid to support it, or will it continue to exist for a while until we go into the dark ages? Like, I just wonder what that will be like. Ross said you'd have like what, like 2027 cars in 2035 or whatever. Be like 2027's model in 2030. Like they basically the technology is just going to stop expanding at the rate it is.
we've got the AI bubble, we've got the financial bubble, we've
Yep.
got the fiat bubble, we've got the crypto bubble. I mean,
Yep.
it's like the era of DIY. That's what I think the Sleeping Phoenix is. It's
Yeah.
like if you want it, do it. If you can't make that decision for yourself, then it won't be made. It's
Yeah.
like And as difficult as that sounds, it's like kind of a necessary sacrifice, I feel, for this realm to resemble truth. Because all these bubbles exist because they've been facilitating disconnection, in the way I see it, from the way that things truly operate. Like in accordance with like cosmic law, we've we're living in this like I don't know how to even, describe it really, but it's just it's artificial, like it's already been artificial. It's like we live in the post-apocalyptic world that is trying to
Hmm.
pretend that it's not. And the cross of planning has been this really like comfy time to kind of adorn our life with things that reflect what we would like to feel. But it's like built on this, and I'm not even like that, liberal or whatever, but it is built on an extractive paradigm.
Hmm.
And it's like it's done very cheaply,
Hmm.
honestly. And that's why it's going to fail, is like the momentum of decisions that have been made to create this manifold have been not rooted in a greater sense of integrity and connection. They've just been, let's get it done, you
Well,
know?
it's like it's I mean, well, it's interesting that you're saying this today because it's like that I hear almost like channel of transitoriness. Like it's like we desire something new, we desire something new. What's it like, ooh, it's what's it gonna give us? What's it gonna give us? So there's that human drive for what's next, what's new, another one, another one. And that also is gonna be shifting. So
Because
like
that's what we value.
and
That's
I
what
think
this
we've
society
learned a
values.
lot from that, and there will be uh, a crash from that.
Collective
I mean, and
crash.
that is the wave.
Yeah.
It's literally like everything's going well, and we've dropped off a cliff. That's that wave. That wave drops you off a cliff. Like it's like you don't see it. Like my mom has it, my daughter has it, my husband and I have it as a electromagnetic. I'm like very familiar with this wave. It's like everything's going along. It just seems like it's just gonna keep getting better, and then you drop off a cliff, and you're like, what just happened? And there's no forewarning. It's like an earthquake. It doesn't warn you. There's no warning. It just drops you off the cliff. So it's interesting because I think that that's the human experience. And I think for me, like from my limited perspective, it's like to gather data. We've been gathering a lot of data and doing it that way, but it's not sustainable and it's not
Yeah.
aligned with like the deeper truth, but it is giving data points that will be like part of our evolution. Just like somebody eating a mushroom and dying from it, right? Like that experience gives data to everybody else. So
Especially if nobody disturbs their body for 3 days and they actually get to.
take it back and yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I also just kind of wonder like because I'm always trying to like sparse out with like Rob because I like he'll share things and then I'm like was that like directly what you got or is that what you're choosing to share about what you got? You know what I mean? Or like, is that from your
It,
own understanding? Because sometimes he would say like he would like preface and say, I don't know, you know? And he would say like the thing, but then he'd be like, I don't know if that's the truth, is what I'm taking from it or whatever. Or this is what I heard. He'll say that sometimes. So like this is the voice told me. But it's not always a known thing if it was direct, transmission. And so I'm always like wondering with things like rogue crystals, like are they here? They can't return to the bundle, but like we can encounter them and like does it serve us like because he was talking about like when you're unconscious and you encounter a rogue crystal, it's much different, far different than when you're conscious and you're encountering them. And his was like a design crystal bundle. I don't know. So I just like wonder, I just wonder
Are
what
we
you think.
talking rogue crystals and like mystical experiences and things of that nature? Or
Yeah.
this idea of rogue crystal is not something I've heard.
Well, you said if nobody disturbs the body and the crystal can
Right,
go back to the bundle.
right.
And if you do disturb the body, the crystal stays here and becomes rogue. And then it collects up with other rogue crystal bundles. And then there's these like bundles of personality crystals that didn't make it back to the original bundle that don't ever go back according to Ra. But then I'm like, and you can encounter them, and it depends on like like your experience of them, obviously, it depends on your motivation. So like my fear motivation, I experience them as like angels or whatever. So it's like
Have you
interest,
had those experiences?
yeah, since I was a kid. I
Yeah.
wouldn't I wouldn't describe them as odd, you know? Um, I remember like I feel like when you're a kid, like, or at least this is just true for me, like I'm sure true for others too, like it doesn't seem odd until you're like disconnected from it in a way. Like they're like the mundane plane, right? Like you're more connected, and then it like in my life, especially because I went through like a master's program, a doctoral pro like when you go on that track, you're like in the Maya. Like you are in academia, you're like in the Maya. Like that stuff is not real. It's laughable, which is so funny to me because it's so out of alignment with part of my nature, which is the knowing circuit and nothing to do with, well, I have the fourth gate as well in my personality sun. So like there is a part of my ajna that's very logical, very pattern driven, that's conscious, right? And then my 4323 is unconscious. So there's always that freak part of me in the logical system, like the ghost in the system. But it got shut down. And what's funny is you described your experience of sitting by the river and getting like a download. That happened to me when I chose to leave my doctorate. It was like a beam just coming into me of like boo, like you're back online because I had the insight of I have to leave this track. It was a knowing of like you're gonna die if you stay here. And I don't know if it's like a physical death, but like a spiritual death or like a it was like your energy is just gonna wither here.
Yeah.
And correct. Like you've gotten what you were supposed to get. Now it's time to keep going somewhere else. Like go somewhere else now. Like you got the experience, now somewhere else.
That's
And
exactly what got me to that place that
was
download happened. It was taking the college track and being like, my life force is withering. I've never felt this before. I
right?
better I better like pull up, like get out of this
Yes.
trajectory because nothing can come of it.
Yes.
And
It's a
then
death path.
the synchronicities, just for lack of a better word, the serendipity just as soon as I honored that inner no,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
even just not even honored, just got it. Like, okay,
Exactly. Yeah.
something saying no.
Yep. And it's not a
Boop.
logical no.
No.
Yeah. As soon as I heard that and I was like, there was a knowing of this is true, then a boo. Like it was like all of the energy that was slowly being sucked out of my body just came back into my body and it like tingled through like, and so I was like, whoa, it's okay. I'm leaving. Like I can't believe I'm making this decision, but like it's the most like alive and true that I've felt in years at this point. And you just, when it's that clear of a knowing, you, I don't know, I couldn't see myself like doing anything else. So yeah, it's interesting because like
And
you
Ross said that the body didn't wake up. And I'm like, I think mine did.
can,
It got me out of there.
What like when like say more about Ross that the body didn't wake up. Like, oh, like
Vehicles don't wake up.
yes, uh-huh.
And I
That's where
beg to
I think
differ.
that there's a difference between like almost like generationally or something, or you know, there's a difference. Like,
He's just never witnessed it yet. But I think like
true, because he said his consciousness expanded far beyond what he thought was possible when he started the journey, of course. It's like you don't know what you don't know.
and I mean it almost contradicts the whole point that human design is here to facilitate because the personality can't do anything anyway, so it would have to be the body that wakes up in some sense. It's not that the body, you know, takes over and looks in the mirror and is like, it's me
Right.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But the biggest pivotal fractal level shifts didn't come from like, it was a knowing. It wasn't
Yeah.
like a
Yeah.
conscious choice of like rationale.
Right. No, no.
It was
I
just
now that
boom,
I know
boom,
my
boom.
design,
Here's
no.
what I'm gonna do. Yeah.
It just all it does is affirm the knowing. Or like it's like a scaffolding of like a logic behind the knowing. Like, okay, that
Yes.
there you go. Like, okay, that makes sense why that was like. But I think that's the serendipity of the form and where maybe Rob would go in with the no choice thing is like we didn't choose that. Our
No.
trajectory brought us to that moment.
Yeah. And that's the crazy part about this whole like adventure is like, don't let yourself think that you're suddenly in control just because things are going well. Like, and it's not to say that something bad is going to happen, but the illusion that you're the driver of that synchronicity, fluidity, whatever, is a recipe for, again, getting kind of like being the frog in the boiling pot scenario where like you're, no, that's not how it works. Nope.
Yeah, you
It
can't,
wasn't you,
you don't get to, well, I mean, we both have awakening. That just clicked because we both had that. And he would say, like, not everyone can have that Satori. Like, people would be
right?
following the guru, trying to get it, and him teaching
Right.
the way of how to have the awakening. But it's not something you control or can do because of a certain set of mantra or poses or breath work. That just clicked for me because I was like, oh, yeah, like, you it's easy to think in the form like, oh, it happened because of this. It's like I mean like perhaps, but why were you doing that? You know, what brought you to that wasn't you or like wasn't your personality. It's funny too because there's just like certain things in life where like Ra would say like your body doesn't move, like your mind is like you should do this, you should do that, blah blah blah, and the form doesn't move. And like I feel like I've had that my whole life. And now the mind is just it just has less power or like evidence. It's like I have more evidence that the body is correct. So like when the mind is like saying do this, do that, I'm like, well, remember mind. Like remember this. Let me have my mind tell my mind to remember this time. Because like there's so many more experiences where like right now I'm pregnant with my third and my form has not moved me to get a midwife or a doula. I had two home births with my previous midwife, and she moved to Florida. And I just haven't had movement yet. I'm entering my third trimester to have a doula or a midwife. And my mind is like, are you sure? Is that a bad idea? Are you going to put yourself in danger and your baby in danger? And my body is like unconcerned with what my mind has to say. So we'll see. I mean, if my body moves me to do it, obviously I'll listen, but it's just interesting how the form, and that's true for so many things in my life that I got to witness over time where I was like, whoa, I'm really glad I didn't do that thing that my mind was telling me I was being so irresponsible for not doing. Turned out I really dodged a bullet, you know? So I feel like for instance, like I never took birth control. I just never had a response for it. I always was just didn't feel right. And so my mind would be like, you're an idiot. You're irresponsible. Like, what are you doing? You should go on birth control over and over and over again. But there was literally no movement to go schedule that appointment and to do it. And my mind would say, you're just being irresponsible. And my body was just like not feeling it. And then I got older and was like, oh, I'm really glad I never went on birth control. You know, so there's like lots of things like that where it's like you give it enough time and awareness and you get to see certain things play out and then you can build the trust with the part of you that was always driving anyways.
Yeah, totally.
And again, I don't know if there's a wrong way because even if I had done something through my mind, I would have I would have learned that outcome.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking of like all of my decisions lately and like weighing them like, oh wait, fell for it, didn't
What?
I? I said, yeah, like you bringing that up. Same. Like I've had so many instances of things where like there were things, structural things that I had to take care of or was supposed to take care of or how to do things a certain way. And I was just like, not me. And then they just like dissipate, go away completely, expose a greater truth systemically that is more empowering than just capitulating to the tribal pressure to do things a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like that's the difference, I think, between living a life of cognition and living a life of nothing new under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And as we are finishing the ajna, so it's not just that the ajna is within us, we're in, this is our ajna. This reality is basically that. And so these new possibilities and probabilities that can only come from non-conditioned responses are what's finishing the work of completing this process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, a million baby turtles get born and 1,000 survive. It's just that kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
that nature does and has allotments for in her greater structure. Mm.
Yep. All
And
data points of how to get on the trajectory, building awareness. Can awareness be held in this form?
mhm,
Because it's like the data points for some are becoming like the awareness that the form can make our decisions and that the mind can sit back and just reflect on it and observe it and kind of be awed by it. Like my mind is like constantly like, whoa, that was awesome. Like that was so cool, you know? So I think that, and I mean, Rod talked about that too. I can hear him saying like, the more you free up your mind from having to make decisions, obviously, for your life, that's free to do other things. It's free to do what it's here to do, which is to like contemplate reality, share it like with others, like reflect, have awareness of your experience of the ride, of the movie.
yeah, process this experience cognitively, not just, I guess, superficially. And that's interestingly like what I think possesses the true highest value, like in this realm, in the eyes of like the cosmos, prioritizing that puts you in a very different energetic vibrational bracket than a lot of it gives you authority. By literally claiming your authority, it gives you, it's not over others, of course, it's just authority in relationship to life itself. And that's where I think those cool moments start to happen more is like your timeline is very original. Like it's actually
Mm-hmm.
being lived and processed and animated cognitively through your cognitive architecture. It's a unique experience, the differentiated trajectory. That is like the ultimate, that's the ultimate human experience. It's not acquiring works of the earth and to even lesser degree, like material. It's living by the higher principles. And it's the ultimate shield. It's like the ultimate preference. It's like, you know, it's like that. I didn't really watch the show, but it's like that Khaleesi character. Like what I understand is
Mm-hmm.
like she just had this trajectory built into her, and all everything kind of just shaped itself around that. And she was able to go to these extreme heights and unify things, do amazing feats, whatever. That's how I see it. That's how I see us walking in our differentiated trajectory. It's like it shapes the less alive energies of the Maya around us and vitalizes them and vivifies them and creates direction and in a sense in that creates purpose and tells the story of our mythology. And it's like there are some of us that are truly telling the mythology of our species and our time with our lives. And then there are those that just aren't in that experience. But that's such a cool thing to appreciate. It's such a privilege to appreciate being given that opportunity in a sense and to live it comfortably, to live it, beautifully, creatively, even. That's what it's all about, in
And I
case anyone
even
was wondering.
I even kind of feel like whenever I like think of the quote unquote not self, it's like it's all data. So like it still just comes back to that for me, or it's like Ross had no choice. Like he started to like see it differently, like what to do. Like those people that are doing it that way, it's like if you think about it, it's like their personality is kind of like still collecting that much needed data of like maybe this is me being a third line where I'm like, what not to do is so valuable.
Hmm.
The frequency of distortion, the frequency of a mistake, or like bumping into what doesn't work is nourishment towards what does and what is like what isn't truth. It's like truth almost through the distinction of what isn't truth.
Yeah,
And then at the same time I also hear, but there is also a frequency of knowing truth that is, I think you don't necessarily have to have a counterpoint to, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I've never not had a counterpoint in this physical form, but
I
it's
think
funny to
that's
me
all
because
that,
there's like the knowers among us. We all have some of that, right? And even if you don't have definition, you have circuitry that you connect to. We all have it. And there's like the logical process, the experiential way, but then there's the knowing, and the knowing like comes first. And it doesn't have backing. It doesn't have logic. It doesn't have experience. It's just knowing what is the truth. And
resonance.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, it's interesting because I'm watching that play out. People are like, there was like an over reliance on like the facts, right? The data, the experts. But it's like then there's knowing, and knowing comes first and needs time to be backed up by logic and pattern and facts. And it doesn't mean, though, that it's not valuable. It's just different.
It's typically the most valuable, mutative, and correct in my
Life-giving.
witnessing. Yeah. And yeah, it's just about holding your own resonance while all of those more like logic is very mechanical,
Mm-hmm.
like the collective is very mechanical. And so it's like letting these more mechanical processes come around to it. And I feel this in my own, like going, going beyond my own upper limits. It's like there is a collective process even in me that
Mm-hmm.
is looking for the proof that my knowing is worthy and
Mm-hmm.
tenable and essentially safe.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've been watching that process within myself a lot lately of like, okay, if it's like having to bring the system up to date with what the knowing has always contained.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of like what I am seeing is my serendipity to create is that spirit of like as we step towards the sleeping phoenix, we all have even if we're not individually circuitry based, we all have a like sum total knowing of our design in us. We all have a sum total knowingness,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of our circuitry, that we've been struggling to validate. Maybe not struggling, but that's the people that I see come into my like sphere.
Well, channel of struggle is that process
Individual.
of doing it over and over, like the fuel to like continue the process of like purpose, like what is the true purpose? Like to struggle to find the true purpose, the true meaning, right? So I mean, I do think that that is connected to that entire process that you're talking about. It's like there's knowing, I mean, I guess, you know, yeah, there's the knowing struggle is individual too, so it's part of knowing. But I don't, it's not that there's value in all of it. Like there's value in the collective, logical, like experiential, of course, because it's doing what you're saying, which is like bringing it down to the physical in a pattern. Yeah, all of those processes of like the knowing comes in, and Ross said only time can tell the value of any mutation because not all mutation is meant to take hold, right? Like you have mutations that like are meant to just see their way out. And then there's mutations that take time, experimentation, collecting the patterns, testing it to see if like it works over and over again. And then like if it holds, you have a new mutation. And all of it is life-giving because without mutation, everything's stale, everything dies, everything wilts, everything expires because everything's constantly evolving. So like so too with it, everything in form must be as well. It's interesting because it's like maybe just in my own life, or I see it in well, okay, it's a collective process of devaluing knowing. Like the collective devalues knowing. It views it as where are your facts? Where are your facts to back up what your knowing is saying? That means nothing. But what's interesting is that to me just feels unwise. It just feels like
Well, it's
2D
like every
flat.
collective is based in a sea of individuals and their data.
Yep.
It's like it's almost like forgetting where it came from. It's like,
Right. Forgetting what its
no, no, no.
lifeblood is.
Yeah, like I don't know, we've got it
Ev
here now,
right.
so you need to just capitulate or
Stay here
die.
forever and never expand beyond it because this is the ultimate truth forever and ever. Because the collective, the not self collective, resists change. It resists mutation because it doesn't want the pattern to change. It's like we already got this pattern. We don't need another pattern. Don't mess us up with a mutation. And the individual, it's like it can only bring mutation. It doesn't, it's not about like, it's just not possible to not.
Doesn't
It's just like,
have
what
the
is
awareness of a sequence to even fit into.
right?
So, and I feel like what is this like dance and choice point that we're kind of looking at and feeling as we go closer and closer to 2027? It's almost like what is the final collective, big magnum opus that we're going to submit at the end of the ajna process, at the end of the cross the planning, it's like, what is that final data orb that is the base for what begins in the next cycle? We're like tuning that. We're like literally
Yeah.
tuning that
Yes.
as a group of consciousnesses right now with our choices and our awareness and all of it. And we're just like rallying to hopefully submit something
I think it's like,
cool
I
and fun.
think it's like inevitable, right? Like it's an inevitable, and we can't, it's like we don't see the full picture yet because like it's just, but it's like getting more and more and more and more pieces and at a more rapid pace because we have more crystals of consciousness on the planet than ever before. We have more people who are processing information in a new way than ever before. So like just like you see the boom of technology, like think about how slow technology used to turn over, right? And how rapidly it grows because it builds off of itself, right? So it's like the faster it grows, the faster it grows. That's the same with consciousness. That's the same with our awareness. I feel like it's a mirror of those things, or like a reflection of it. Like,
Yeah,
and so that's the rapidness of which awareness is growing and the breakdown of these forms at the same time because we're also seeing that. And we're also seeing we're seeing like some people the most deep sleep or like the most unconscious or the most what's the word like uh because we have so many people like overly medicated, overly like you talked about the fog or the layer, the density. Like there's a lot of density for some people, like an extra density. And then there's like people who are, that's why it's like splitting. There's like you have different like realities, so many different realities coexisting, and everybody's is formed by their ajna, their spirit consciousness, like their level of awareness, and nobody's is the same. And so it's like, just so many realities coexisting, which is kind of crazy because we're connected to each other. Like you're connected through the internet, yes, but like that exists, I feel, as a reflection of the connection that we already have anyways. Like I'll think of something or I'll think of someone. It's so rapid now where they call or they text or, and I'm like, when I posted this, I thought of you and you were the first person to reach out to me. It was like, sent for you, you received it, and then you know what I mean? Like there's such a rapidness to the turnover of
shared
that connection.
consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just like part of it is, I think consciousness wants to be more conscious,
Mm-hmm.
and it's finally, or it's like that is happening. We are able to facilitate that more now through these vehicles than ever, and continuing with the solar plexus build out. And then there's also like so many people that have so much biological interference, relational interference, electromagnetic interference, diet is off. Keep going, And it's like there are swaths of people that haven't had the serendipity to like be differentiating very much. and they don't have that compass. I don't need to talk about this, but yeah, it's
Well,
just
and it
there's a
reminds me
disparity.
of that analogy that we're in, the of like Ross saying that we are an unborn fetus, like developing in the womb, if you were to think of it that way. Obviously, it's not the same because it's not a human form, but like and unbeknownst to like what it is or its creator, all like organisms in the same form, like like rapidly turning over and like there's there's always like the new cell, right? There's like the one that's dying, the one that's replacing it, and it's just like an like a never-ending cycle of that. And so, yeah, what is life? When you think about it like that, like and then I mean, then it's like, yeah, we're all in it together. Even like the people who are asleep are doing their part of the whole in the whole of the whatever they're doing in that. And we've all been that person, like that's how I see it. Like I've been in the form totally asleep. I've been in the form and the density. I still am, obviously. I have a lot of not self, but it's just like, I don't know, it's interesting. Is there a way to do it wrong, right or wrong? Like morality, right? Like Ross said, there is no morality because it's like and I can kind of get that. It's like you can't really do it wrong because it's just like data. And if what if the point isn't about doing it right? What if the point isn't, I mean, for you it matters. For you, like it's nice to be quote unquote like correct or experiencing your signature more than your signpost. Like that's enjoyable. But like at the same time, like it's not about doing it right or doing it a specific way. It's just like, yeah.
I saw
Sometimes it's
this
like
I saw this post, who knows if it's right, but said that like every single sperm has like zero point 0.8 gigabytes of data, or maybe some figure, some big figure. So, there's more processing power in one like sample of that and then it gave all the schematics of like could run the world's internet for half a day. Like, the data processing of these forms is far, far beyond what we are able to know.
yeah.
And we think that technology is getting so intense and stuff, but it's still like in terms of processing power compared to what we have. And that's why I think there's this curiosity and maybe agenda for transhumanism because it's like technology wants to have as much processing power as we have for its collective logical process. Obviously, as humans, we're not really a collective logical process. Like we do it, but that is not the bigger picture here from what we were just what we were just describing. It's more of a chaotic, let's see what works, and then living and dying and rebirthing and all the things. And it's like technology wishes. And maybe technology will find a way to mimic our processing power in a way that allows it to directly affect reality or creation or manifestation or whatever that factor of taking concept and putting it into form or whatever.
hmm
Um, but
I feel like it'll always be behind.
it's just not.
And like it's a re
That's the short-sightedness of our ajna awareness is to
right
think that that's what's going on here. It's
to
like,
fear it as something that could be superior because we almost kind it almost tells you what we are valuing in this era, which is like the logic, the computing, the RAM, so to
connectivity.
speak. Yeah,
Yeah.
versus the depth or the like the things that technology could never compute or doesn't, you know? Because there's obviously a difference between a human computing something and AI. Like, you can have somebody who maybe is less awake to their capacity, but that it doesn't mean that their body isn't, even if it's shut down in many ways, it doesn't mean that it's not still processing things on such a great, like even just disease is intelligent, you know? So it's like we, with the brain, we think about disease in a very like shallow way still, like as a general, like obviously this has been growing a lot with like understanding how like the energy of things is symbolic of the energetics, right? It's like you can like basically Google. You could ask, you could ask Chat GPT, you could ask anything like, what is the energetic symbolic of this disease, right? And there is a collection in a web, and it goes back to something energy related, right? It's like, and it down to the side of the body that it's on, and the, but you know, so it's so detailed and nuanced because it's obviously like you have patterns, but there's nuances based on the individual. And so like my point with that is like we think about it like the superior thing is our way to control the body like a machine without
Mhm.
realizing that our body is far more intelligent than any machine, you know, and still treating the body kind of like a machine where you could like just fix things that go bad and like put a pill in, stop this. And like to the ajna, to the data collection, to the logical process, some of that has been like amazing for our brain to witness. But then you get to the other side of it, which is like, oh, how cool this pill can affect the brain in this way. But then you get to the other side and you're like, oh, but it didn't fix anything actually. And what's the long term of that? And like, it's not just about the like pinhole you're looking through. It's not just strategic. It's not just like the one little focus. It's like there's a bigger web that you're messing with. Everything is a web. So if you pull this part of the web, you affect the rest of the web, right? And so I don't know, it's like the micro and the macro. It's like the human is this big web, and we've been looking at it so strategically for so long, so mechanically for so long. And that almost speaks to why we think technology or AI is like superior to us because we are valuing one side of the equation. And like you just said, we're not just that collective process of logic or even data of the experience. We're far more than that. We're the mutation, right? Like we are bringing in what has never been brought in and bringing it into form. Machines don't do that. They're not creative like that. Like Ra would say, we're not creative, but we bring in creativity. We're a portal for creativity. Machines aren't portals for creativity.
Yeah,
They're logical patterns of what has been creative, you know?
right.
And they're useful, but they have their limitation in terms of like they're not like you said that's so interesting about like the processing power in someone's sperm or whatever. It's like how much we don't know about our form and its capabilities too. And then there's an upgrade coming. Like there's an upgrade in terms of the form not needing to be so clunky even where it needs to be fed as much data from the outside. You know, in terms of the rave, they're not going to consume like any animal products and they're going to need like a super small caloric intake, right?
Yeah. And I think it's just consumption on all levels. Like, I don't
Yes,
think raves are going to be
they're not going to be
consuming
territorial.
media. They're not going to be consuming content. They're not going to be consuming what are these artifacts of the experiential way because they don't
Yeah,
care. Like they have
classes,
no
books. It's all just going to be connected to the
available to
web.
them. Yeah. Just whoop, 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 whoop.
Yep.
And then, but what is another layer of that rave conversation is that they are penta
Yes.
and
A conscious penta.
conscious penta, which is collectively tuned.
Yes.
So the judgment and brain or 1858 and the 4816 is like it's not what their penta is comprised of in terms of channels, but that is the basic architecture of the process that they are running. So they're going to be making their decisions from a collective judgment place, which is super interesting to think of because,
Hmm. With a completely different consciousness under it.
right, in like reference to their vulnerability and all that stuff that makes them feel somewhat relatable in a sense to us, there's going to be this completely different view of us by them from their perspective, which is all about optimization. If you look at what the 1858, it's just about optimizing those correct collective patterns and then manifesting from that place. And it does feel like a very like tilling of the soil, like processing, terraforming even, on a whole new scale, and it from a whole new like from a whole different set of values, what we would consider values, like why and what is important in terms of what's done
Hmm.
or created.
Hmm.
And, there are some people that think the raves are just gonna be AI. Like that's what it is. And then
No,
I
I think
think,
they're going to be far beyond that.
right. And so with a collective grid collapse, we lose AI for the most
Hmm.
part,
Hmm.
except maybe in small
Hmm.
enclaves. And then we just have this rave network of
Hmm.
consciousness that's left. Like that is the remaining infrastructure after the cross of planning infrastructure goes down by design.
Hmm.
And that is literally, it's a new information infrastructure that is actually based on the architecture of the form, not the externalization of the form's capacities symbolically in the form of technology. And I think that's the true Aquarian age is consciousness information architecture, period.
Hmm. Which is like a long way out from us. The true entering of the Aquarian age. Like when we actually leave the cycle of the Piscean. Is it like, I'm trying to remember, like Ra gave a date, it was like 2600 or something, or like what was it? Like, do you remember? I don't remember.
I'm
It
seeing
was like,
something like 2243 or
okay,
something like
okay,
that.
maybe closer. I can't remember. I remember it was like, well, this form will be dead, but and my kids won't be there. I remember that, but that was bad. But yeah, we're in that like what the yogic teachings would say, like the gray period between those two. It's just interesting because I wonder, I don't know, we'll see, I guess, or maybe we won't, but we'll see what we see, I guess, in these forms of like what the rave will, because they're not going to be like particular, they're not really going to be aggressive in terms of how we are. They're not going to kill for territory, God, food, like all of the things that like the tribe kills for, or humanity, really.
And 49 was the gate of killing anyway.
Right.
It was
Right.
sacrifice or hunting, etc.
Yeah. I mean, the
So like
1949, Ra said everything that humans kill for is in the 19, and then you have the 49, which is the butcher. So it's like those two together, it was like we kill for territory, we kill for God, we kill for resources. And that's going away. That just won't function post 2027 the same. People will have both of those, but they won't, it's not going to function the same, which is interesting. What's that going to look like? We'll
Well,
still have the
then,
killer monkey in our form.
yeah,
So like if we're threatened, but it's going to change in terms of how we deal with territory and how we view God. Well, I mean, and you and I both have the end of the mystical way. So I feel like we're going into that. Like, yeah, it's being in the now, the connection to the now, to what is, being awake in the now. That's like what is spirituality. It's not going to be about outsourcing or sacrificing to something else.
no doctrines, no hierarchies. It's just more about pure
Yeah.
consciousness, pure awareness.
Which is interesting because and he said that was going to happen, like there was going to be more religious fanaticism at the end of it. As the more it's breaking down, the more extreme and the more bloodshed there would be because of it, which we definitely see happening in the collective. So it'll be interesting. I wonder, like, will that just kind of stop being fueled post 2027? Or, I'm just curious, like, will it be a slow peter off? Will it be just kind of like a door closing completely and like it's just like, huh, that was weird. Do you guys remember that? That was weird that we went through that and like, you know, we'll see, I guess.
Like the door might be closed, but all of the firmware in terms of belief
Yeah,
that was
the
created
conditioning.
because it will still be running in people,
True.
and it almost make them might startle them. It's almost like the source of that flow of information is gone.
Yeah.
And so that's where maybe the emboldening of those kinds of zeitgeists really happens is like, this is a final battle, like,
Yeah, I think that's already happening too. I mean, I see that happening where it's like a growing, there's a knowing inside of people that something's ending. And
yeah,
I think everybody deals with that differently, depending on how you're oriented to deal with that. I kind of feel excited by that of like, oh, what's that going to mean? Like, what's coming? What's new? What's going to be new? Um, yeah. But I think that like individual part of me or the third line or whatever it is in me, I've always kind of liked what's new. What's next? What's the next iteration? Everything kind of has its time, and then when it's at the end of it has like its heyday, and then it's kind of like a corpse. It's like decomposing. And so some people like to like hold on to the corpse, and I'm like, let the corpse go. Let it decompose. It's okay. You don't have to be scared. I'm also fear motivation too, so it's like funny because like yeah. Ross said at the
same,
deepest level, it's like knowing what to fear and what not to fear. I feel like that's been true for me when I listen to my authority, because my brain will have all kinds of fears,
right?
but like my authority, like I mentioned, will just be like, no, not scared. No, you don't need to worry about that. No, you don't have to worry about that. It's funny that it's a different level. It's like you check in, it's like the brain's like, ah, fear, fear, fear. And then like it's like the gut, the solar plexus is like, mm-mm, we're fine. We are of two. Well, thank you for joining me today. Do you have anything else you want to get into or share?
No, it's
Feel
been fun.
complete? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, this was great.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I will see you around. See you
Cool.
on the
Thank you as
ethers.
well. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.